This is our Christmas newspaper class. For this class, we will become a reporter at one of your favorite Christmas stories or events. We will have a fun 3 weeks of discovering the art of writing newspaper articles. So, let's get started. The first thing I want to discuss with you are the parts of a newspaper article. Here you see an example of a newspaper. This newspaper is apparently called the Daily News. Sort of made up a funny website, the www.christmasnewsbliss. And you can see there that there would be a date and that this is a Christmas newspaper fun. But if we look on down below the blue line and to that big open white space, we can see that this is where you insert your headline. So a headline is one of the first and most obvious parts of a newspaper article. And your headline is always in bigger font and very noticeable on the page. The next part of a newspaper article is the byline. This is simply what it says it is, a byline. It's a line to say who the article is by. So in this case, we have by Amanda Bliss. The next part of a newspaper is the place line. Okay, in this case, the place line is New York. The place line is often in all caps right before the article itself starts. So it's like right before the lead paragraph. And as I said, is often in all caps and often followed by a dash. So in this case, our place line is New York. The place line also describes where the article is or the event is happening. Okay, even if you are sitting in Miami, Florida, if you're writing about the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree, then you don't put Miami in the place line, you put New York, because that is where the event you're writing about is happening. Okay, so that place line tells the place of the article, the event in the article. Okay, the next part of a newspaper is the lead paragraph. The lead paragraph does just what it says. It leads off your article and should be very interesting, should have a lot of information in it. You are wanting to draw your reader in with this. So if you can see there in the gray box, that is our lead paragraph. Says the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree, ... blah, 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 blah. And then I have in blueprint who, what, when, where, why. Those are your 5 W's. In the lead paragraph, you will need to answer all of those questions, or for the most part, most of those questions. Okay, so all or most of those questions will be answered in that lead paragraph. So when you're beginning to write a lead paragraph, you need to make sure you have all that information: the who, the what, the when, the where, and the why. So that is your lead paragraph. Next, we have the body paragraphs. This is the orange, the green, and the pink paragraphs. Okay, the orange paragraph is the paragraph right after your lead paragraph. It is one of the body paragraphs, and if you notice in blue print there, it says the blah, 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 how and why. So in this paragraph, you're going to answer those questions. I know that why is in both the lead paragraph and the next paragraph, but you're kind of expanding on the why in this paragraph. You're giving a little bit further information. So the second paragraph, one of the first body paragraph, is going to tell the how and the why. The next paragraph is your quote paragraph, and you can have 2 of the orange paragraphs before you head to your quote paragraphs, and you can have more than one quote paragraph. So, but they do go in this order. So you can have your quote paragraph be right after your first body paragraph. It can be your second one or third one. So if we look at that quote paragraph, it says, "It was beautiful, blah, 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 said the lady who turned the switch to turn on the tree lights." Okay, if we're going with this same Rockefeller Center Christmas tree thought, the quote would be from someone directly involved. We're not going to go ask Joe Schmo on the street corner in Pittsburgh about turning or about the Christmas tree in Rockefeller Center. That guy wouldn't have vital information or related information to this article. So you're definitely going to want to ask somebody that was there, somebody that was involved. Make sure that you're getting quotes from people who are directly involved in whatever it is that you're writing your article about. And after you're done writing your quote paragraphs, you'll come to the last paragraph, which is the pink one, and that one just has any additional information. This information isn't super important information, just maybe something that a reader might want to know. In this case, you might say something about last year's tree, maybe how big last year's tree was, or maybe when they take the tree down at Rockefeller Center. So it's not as important information. Okay, so that's how we lay out our paragraphs. You also, in parts of a newspaper, have the photo to go along with your article. So you want to make sure that your photo really goes with what you're writing about. You don't want to have a picture of, let's say, a Christmas tree at the White House if you're writing about the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree. So you want to make sure that your photo is very relevant to your article, okay? And then you also, to go along with your photo, you need a photo caption. And this is just a brief sentence or two about the photo, explaining the photo a little bit further, what's happening in the photo, and just a brief sentence or two that will go underneath your photo as the photo caption. So that's pretty much all the parts of a newspaper article. Okay. Before we start into really writing or beginning our first newspaper article, I want to go over a few do's and don'ts. Okay, and to give you a little bit of a gist of how a newspaper article is set up, it is set up kind of like an upside down pyramid or an upside down triangle, and you need to make sure that this is how you are doing your the facts in your article. So the headline comes first. That's the biggest and most important thing in your article. The next thing is the lead paragraph with your 5 W's. Again, this is giving the most important information. So as you go down in your article, you're getting less and less and less important information. So headline is the attention getter to really draw your reader in. The lead paragraph has the 5 W's to give your reader a lot of information in a short spot there. The next one is your body supporting paragraph of your hows and whys. That can be 1 or 2 paragraphs. The next are your quote paragraphs. Again, 1 or 2 paragraphs there. And finally, you have your last paragraph that has additional information. And as you can see there, that additional information is at the point, so it's not super important information. Okay, so we always want to set up our newspaper articles in this fashion. Really important information down to not real important information. Okay, a few other do's and don'ts. Do organize from most important to least important. Okay, that's kind of what we just talked about there in our blue upside down triangle. Don't add unimportant facts. Okay, we don't need in a Rockefeller Center newspaper article, we don't need to know how many bird nests were in the pine tree that they had to remove. Not real important information. Okay. Do use plain, understandable language. A newspaper article is not one of those places where you want to pull out some really big vocabulary that you've been learning, or you want to kind of show off how large your vocabulary is and how smart you are. You really want to just use plain, understandable language, because the everyday person is reading this. So don't make sentences too wordy and don't use too big of words. Stay short, direct paragraphs and sentences. So newspaper article writing is actually kind of nice in the respect that you're just trying to get a lot of information down there in full sentences, but you don't have to be super wordy. You don't have to be long-winded. Just kind of right to the point. That's what sometimes makes newspaper article writing fun, because you can just get to the point and write those sentences quick and short and understandable. You do want to have 1 to 2 quotes from people directly involved. And remember, people directly involved, not Joe Schmo along the street in a whole different city. And you do want to write in third person, which means that you don't use I, we, me, or us. Okay? So you're writing this as the reporter that was there. You're not necessarily involved. You're sort of on the sidelines seeing it happen and reporting it that way. So you want to always remember that your newspaper articles need to be written in the third person. All right? Okay, so our first assignment for this week is to choose your story. Okay? What do you want to report on? You may need to pick just one part of one of these cartoons or stories, okay? Because sometimes there could be numerous parts of that show or cartoon or story that you could write an article on. You could write about when Frosty comes alive, or you could write about when, at the end, when Frosty goes home to the North Pole with Santa. So you could, those could be separate articles. That would be too much information to put in one article. So you really will choose one small section of these stories or movies to write about. So that is your first assignment. I would like you to just upload to me what story or cartoon you are choosing, and then kind of tell me just a little bit about the part of that story that you are choosing. So like I said, if you want to, if you were going to write about when Frosty came alive, then you need to tell me that. I'm, choosing Frosty the Snowman, and this is the part of the cartoon I'm choosing. So go ahead and go into the assignments and complete assignment 1.